First things first, before we begin this video, I'd like to discuss the new name of this channel. I'm sure you guys already know I was never a fan of the name Anime Art Director, so I've decided to rebrand on my time off, and the new name of this channel now is definitely Azyn. It's a name that is a lot more personal. Also the definitely part is there for decoration, so you could just call me Azyn from now on. Sounds much better than Anime Art Director, to be honest. Anyways, with the development of the Jujutsu Kaisen manga concerning the newly introduced culling games, it seems as though Akutami sort of steered the direction of our favorite antagonist, Ryomen Sukuna, away. I mean, with Yuta returning and some massive secrets being revealed recently, the attention on Sukuna has diverted. But one of the biggest mysteries about Ryomen Sukuna is of course his human side. Before Sukuna became the king of curses, it was stated that he was actually a sorcerer during the golden age of shamans, and it makes you wonder what was Sukuna's motives to transitioning, and why is his current ideology like at the moment. There are so many things which link back to Sukuna and the modern age of sorcery, so I'll be sure to cover these topics in this video. But before we get into this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the notification bell to stay updated on my latest uploads. Also follow me on Twitter for any new updates concerning the channel. This video will contain spoilers from the manga. Ryomen Sukuna's presence in the Jujutsu Kaisen series is just as vital as Yuji's. Without Sukuna, there would seriously be no end goal in this world of sorcery. The role that Sukuna plays is immense, so being curious about his true past is something we've all thought about. Recently, there have been a few pieces of evidence lying around which just adds more suspicion on Sukuna. So why don't we understand what sort of person Sukuna was like before he became a cursed spirit? In one of my recent community posts, I asked you guys about your theories on what the human Sukuna was like and what his motives were. So without further ado, let's get straight in. So the secrets of Sukuna's hidden past is all being kept covered well by Akutami, since we really don't have any proper hints behind his time as a human, even though we are almost 150 chapters deep into the series. Anyways, why don't we dive into the very first theory. So the first theory behind what Sukuna was like as a human, and if he has any possible connections to Yuji, is from Tamana Nusrat Khan, where she states, "I recall a line from anime episode 4 when Sukuna was fighting the special grade. It seems like neither you nor this kid truly understand what real Jujutsu means. It seems as if Sukuna came to know something serious about Jujutsu, a truth that shouldn't have been exposed. As a human he gained such knowledge, and as the binding vow he lost his humanity and became a cursed spirit. Also, it seems like Sukuna actually has a shelf or closet, wherever you can say, where he can store other cursed techniques that are not his own, most probably the result of the truth I mentioned above. So when he says open, he can temporarily use a cursed technique from that storage. For example, Urza's equipped magic, where she stores her armors and weapons in space. Speaking of spaces, it's also stated in chapter 119 that Sukuna can easily create his domain that is free of barriers and can be manifested anywhere without boundaries. This is a pretty solid theory from Tamana, since it could be a major possibility that Sukuna was involved in the deep research behind shamanism, cursed spirits and cursed techniques. Obviously, when you have a vast amount of knowledge, you sort of become this mad scientist. For example, All For One from My Hero Academia, as he stockpiles and steals various quirks from other people to use to his advantage. Just like this theory stated, he must have definitely lost his humanity after discovering this truth. It could also be the key to why Sukuna decided to transition into a cursed spirit. Another point I can get along is the idea that Sukuna could just be stockpiling various cursed techniques, and as for Sukuna's domain expansion, I have this weird feeling that he wants to engulf the entire world within it, since we know it doesn't have any specific barriers holding it back. This could parallel the infinite Tsukiyomi from Naruto, but instead everyone being trapped within Sukuna's domain expansion. For this, Sukuna would have to amplify cursed energy onto a whole new level, and so that is where Kenjaku's goal gets put into place, as he wants to merge with Master Tengen and integrate cursed energy through every human in Japan. So with this infinite amount of cursed energy, it's not crazy to say that Sukuna could take advantage of this and, like I mentioned before, engulf the entire world in his boundless domain expansion, determining how things work within it, practically becoming a god. The next theory comes from my boy Zen, as he says Sukuna has so much knowledge about Jujutsu. He made his domain expansion OP using a binding vow, so he probably knew a way to turn into a cursed spirit, because I don't think cursed spirits have an age limit after which they die. You can see Choso is 150 years old, so being a cursed spirit is better than being a human. That's why he chose to become a cursed spirit. He always does what looks beneficial for him. He may have used a binding vow to turn into a cursed spirit, or he just knows some other way. And about the relation between Sukuna and Yuji, people have been saying that Yuji is a descendant of Sukuna's bloodline, which I don't agree with, because if there was someone related to Sukuna's bloodline, the Golden Era sorcerers would have already finished them off, because they don't want another monster like Sukuna. What I can possibly see happening is Kenjaku, Yuji's mom, did something to make Yuji a perfect vessel for Sukuna, because something has to be the reason for Kenjaku to be Yuji's mom. Seems as though me and Zen are on the same page, because I feel the same way. Sukuna's immense knowledge was most likely the cause for him to become a cursed spirit and practically gain immortality, allowing him to continue continue his research and achieve his ultimate goal. When it comes down to Kenjaku playing a part in Yuji's birth, I agree with this. I feel like Yuji's mother, or as we know, Kenjaku, created Yuji in order for him to become the perfect vessel for Sukuna. However, Sukuna has no knowledge of this. It sort of makes sense when you think about it, due to the fact that Yuji has such abnormal physical strength, enough to even amaze the experienced shamans. So it's not far-fetched to say at all that Yuji is the perfect cursed womb vessel to take on Sukuna. That's why Yuji hasn't ultimately been killed by eating the fingers. To be honest, it was a 1 in a million chance, and for the cursed finger to be conveniently placed at his high school is just a perfect setup for Yuji to obtain Sukuna. On to the next theory, and that is from Nick Bokanet. As he states, many are saying that Sukuna isn't bad and he is betrayed, and many more I believe that he was not that bad. He had evil inside of him, but not too much, and we still don't know what Akutami's influences are. Is he going to use only Japanese or Chinese mythology alone, or is he going to use more? I say this because the new character that was introduced, Angel, may or may not be from Christian mythology or from somewhere else, and I have a feeling that we will have a new character soon that will be the mentor of Itadori, because we have Gojo, but he's more of a sensei to Megami than to Yuji. Also, I didn't skip the training that he got from Gojo, it's just that he was explaining to Itadori and to us the viewers how and what curses can do, nothing more or nothing less, understand? It's like Jiraiya to Naruto, not Kakashi to Naruto. Also, I'm saying this because Itadori doesn't have a lot of power and experience since he doesn't have a teacher, and it will be difficult to survive at the game. Also, we don't know what happened to Kugisaki, and if there is a new character, maybe he knows what happened and maybe he can train Yuji. This theory was all over the place, but one part which caught me was the idea that Sukuna was not totally evil. If we look back at Japanese mythology in the Nihon Shoki, where Sukuna was actually praised in the Hida and Mino provinces as a god, so it makes you wonder the very powerful and ruthless Sukuna being praised by humans and also then becoming an enemy to the emperor. Let's take this into Jujutsu context. Exactly like Tamana's theory, she mentioned this truth. What if Sukuna found out this truth of the Jujutsu world and was naturally opposed as an enemy from the higher ups at the time? It's not crazy to say this since Gojo currently is exiled, even though he is the most powerful Jujutsu sorcerer of this current generation. Next up is Chris Rudd's theory. Sukuna was likely a transcendent curse user, a sort of anti-Buddha who reached a similarly sublime understanding of negative emotions and their relation to the human soul. After all, he's specifically shown to have control over the shape of his soul during the fight with Mahito, and when he manifests mouths on Yuji's body. He can also use a variety of curse techniques, but holds favor for his own when it suits him. The rest is very speculative. Sukuna's manner of death hasn't been elaborated on, and I don't think it was specifically mentioned that he became a curse after death. In mythology, people can become Oni while still alive, so an aspect of that may be in play. I still sort of think that Kenjaku the brain is a part of Sukuna, split from his soul which stayed as a curse imbued in his corpse parts, but that's been weakened lately. Kenjaku's benevolent name would work as the good mythical Sukuna known in the south of Japan, instead of the terror the early empire recorded him as. There must be some significance in the cursed objects being limited to his fingers. The rest of his corpse may have been literally cast into the shadow realm by a Zenin member 8,000 years ago, hence his cautious interest in Megami as a means of retrieval. With Kenjaku clearly deliberately creating Yuji as a vessel, a retrieval may not be necessary. If Kenjaku is indeed a different person, they certainly had some relation in the Heian era, but Sukuna's soul has very limited awareness of what's gone on since, shown when you're surprised to see the white and red haired girl Uraume at the end of Shibuya. Also, in this case, the creation of Yuji as a dominant vessel makes more sense, as it's a way to have a version of Sukuna he might be able to control or inhabit. This is probably my favorite theory so far, because it makes sense the way the storyline is unfolding. For Kenjaku to be a part of Sukuna was a theory I did not too long ago, and it could still stand. We know that binding valves is like a cheat code in Jujutsu Kaisen. Well, if we take that into context, Kenjaku is just a brain hopping from body to body. It could all be done from Sukuna during his time as a human, presuming that he was a mad scientist, allowing him to live on even whilst he was sealed within the fingers. Maybe the time hasn't come yet for Kenjaku and Sukuna to merge, but that's a good idea to have in the back of your heads. Also, another thing which is very common in these theories is Yuji being this perfect vessel for Sukuna, as though he was handcrafted to fit the King of Curses, which I totally agree with. But there just has to be more behind Sukuna and Yuji's relation if that is the case. Wasuke and Jin Itadori seem like they know a thing or two behind curse techniques. Anyways, that was the end of this theory video. First, I'd like to update you guys, I've been a bit burnt out recently, so that's why this video isn't long. I'm slowly trying to find my rhythm again with uploading. I've also seen everyone's theory, and this video would honestly span to an hour long if I added them all in. But I do plan on making a part 2 to this video because the mystery behind Sukuna as a human is endless. Also, one more thing, anime art director is no more, so just call me Azyn from now on. Anyways, what did you guys think of these theories? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.